Hi, hello, my dear students. Again, welcome back to Neat with Kiran sir. So, we are on the topic morphology of flowering plants, synopsis part 3. So, here in this video, we are going to discuss with inflorescence, flower, and different parts of the flower. So, I request to my dear students kindly subscribe and click on bell icon. We'll get regular updates regarding this video and kindly share this video among your friends so that they also get some benefit regarding these videos. Okay, so we'll start with inflorescence. So here in the previous two videos we have discussed the root, stem and leaf. So when I talk about inflorescence, here in the plant we find a part of a plant which bear a cluster of flower. Okay, when you observe any plant we will find that. So here we are going to observe a cluster or a group of flower. Generally we are going to call it as inflorescence. So here when I say inflorescence, it has a modified shoot called as inflorescence has a modified shoot which bear a cluster of flower that is called as a peduncle. Okay, that is called as a peduncle. So remember when I say peduncle, so it is axis of the inflorescence. Okay, it has axis of the inflorescence on the basis of, remember, on the basis of the axis of the inflorescence and their arrangement of flower. Inflorescence are of two different types here. Look at this one. So inflorescence are of two different types. The first one we call it as racemose. It is also known as indefinite inflorescence. Second one we call it as cymose, that is definite inflorescence. So here when I say racemose, what is the important character? Only two important characters have to remember. The growth of the peduncle will be continuous. The growth of the peduncle will be a continuous, and remember the growth of peduncle will continuous. The second one, the flower arrangement is acropetalous in nature. That means the older flower at the base. Look at this diagram. So here older flower at the base, younger flower at the tip. So this pattern we call it, or this pattern we call it as acropetalous in nature. So here when I say racemose, you have only 2 points in your mind. Number one, so here the peduncle growth will be continuous, ಬೆಳಿತಾನೆ ಇರ್ತದೆ peduncle. ಎರಡನೇದೇನಪ್ಪ ಅಂತಂದ್ರೆ ಫ್ಲವರ್ಸು acropetalous ಇರ್ತವೆ. That means they grow. Okay, older flower at the base and younger flower at the tip. So this is the basic characteristic of racemose. ಅದೇನು cymose ಬಂದ್ರೆ dead opposite. The growth of the peduncle always ends with a flower. Okay, the tip, or you can say the growth of the peduncle is terminated or arrested or stopped or ended with a flower, where the flower arrangement is where the flower arrangement is a basipetal. Basipetal means reverse of racemose, older flower at the apex, younger flower at the base. You can observe this diagram here. Look at this, older flower at the apex, younger flower at the base. Such type of arrangement we are going to call it as cymose. Remember, in case of cymose, peduncle growth ends with a flower or terminates with a flower, and it has a basipetal succession where younger flower at the base, older flower at the apex. Okay, this is nothing but inflorescence. So as per the practical concept or as per the practical syllabus, they are given 7 different types of racemose inflorescence. Okay, the first one we are going to call it as simple raceme or typical raceme. Okay, second one we are going to call it as a spike. The best example is the Acheranthus aspera, or you call it as Uttaranicadic. Okay, that is the best example, spike. The third one we are going to call it as catkin. So in case of catkin, the peduncle is weak and pendulous and which bear either male or female flowers. Okay, here in these two, that is in case of spike and in case of the catkin, the flowers are sessile, means they don't have any peduncle, pedicel. Okay, they don't have any pedicel. So next one we call it as the spadix. So when I say spadix, it is covered by, look at this portion. So it is covered by a coloroid bract. Bract nothing but a modified leaf present below the flower. Okay, a modified leaf present below the flower is called as bract. So here these bract undergo modification, it become colored and going to cover the entire inflorescence, hence it is called as spadix. The best example is the coconut and the corn. Okay, the coconut and corn, that is your popcorn. Okay, when you observe the corn plant, that is maize plant, so when you observe the cob, we are going to observe the green color. So here in case of the spadix or in case of coconut also, the board shaped structure where the flowers are present, that is the best example for the spadix. The next one we call it as corim. So here when I say corim, so remember the corim, all the flower they appear to be in the same height. Okay, all the flowers are appear to be in a same height, but they're having difference in the length of the pedicel. So look at the apex flower, it has shorter pedicel. Look at the basal flower, it has elongated pedicel. But look at the flower height, all they are appear in a same height, that is called as corim. Okay, second, next one we'll go with the umbel. Look at this inflorescence, all the flowers arise from a common point. Okay, all the flowers are arranged from the tip of the peduncle and appear in the form of umbrella shape. The best example is the coriander. So where you can observe the umbel inflorescence. And last one we call it as head or capitulum type. It is commonly in case of sunflower where the peduncle is a disc shape, and we can observe the flower, older flower at the peripheral of this circle, and here the younger flower at the central. This is we call it as centripetal. But here when I go with the cymose and racemose, when I say racemose, it is acropetal, cymose basipetal. If it is in a lateral manner, then it's called as centripetal, where older at the peripheral, younger at the center. Okay, then when I come for the cymose inflorescence, so begin with the cymose inflorescence. So remember there are three different types you have to study. The first one we call it as monocacial cyme, dicacial cyme and a polycacial cyme. So ಮೂರು ಕಲಿಬೇಕಾಗ್ತದೆ. ಮೊನೋಕೇಶಿಯಲ್ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಒಂದೇ ಬ್ರಾಂಚಿಂಗ್ ಇರ್ತದೆ. ಓಕೆ, ಡೈಕೇಶಿಯಲ್ ಅಂತಂದ್ರೆ ಎರಡು. Okay, look at this point, only one branching. So here observe, so here it has only one point. Dicacial means two branching. So in case of polycacial, more than two branching. So here the C will be the typical example for dicacial. So look at this point, only two branches. Look at this point, only two branches. Okay, look at this point, only two branches. That is called as a compound dicacial. That is called as compound dicacial. Basically remember, monocacial means only one branch. Dicacial, two branch at the same point, more than two branch, we call it as a polycacial. The example for polycacial is the standard example. Here it is, we can say calotropis. Then there is another type of cymose, we call it as a whole inflorescence having a single flower. Okay, when I say inflorescence, generally we go with a bunch of flower, but in case of cymose, there are certain cases where a whole flower, the whole inflorescence having only one flower, that is called as a solitary cyme. That is we are going to study in case of what? A family Solanaceae. So this is nothing but the inflorescence. Then come to the flower. So when I begin with a flower, first you go with a definition. So what is flower? A modified shoot. Okay, flower is a modified shoot which is meant for a sexual reproduction. So what are the different parts of the flower? We can say the flower is consisting of four different whorls. Okay, the first one we call it as calyx, second one corolla, third one androecium, and fourth one gynoecium. So here when I say calyx, a unit of calyx called as sepals, unit of corolla called as petals, unit of androecium called as stamens, and unit of gynoecium they are called as pistil or carpels. Okay, again when I come back to the calyx, if the sepals are fused, gamosepalous. If sepals are free, polysepalous. So in case of family Solanaceae, the calyx will remain until the complete maturation of fruit. That is called as persistent calyx. Remember, persistent calyx nothing but a calyx which remains, or sepals remain until the maturation of fruit. The best example is the cotton plant. The best example is members of Solanaceae, the brinjal, chili, tomato, where we find on the fruit we find the calyx, that is called as persistent calyx. Then when I come for corolla, they are the brightly colored whorl of the flower, the second whorl of the flower, so which is meant for the attraction for the insect. Okay, since they are brightly colored. If the petals are fused, gamopetalous. If the petals are free, polypetalous. Similarly, a special type we call it as papilionaceous corolla. So when I say papilionaceous corolla, it is found in case of a family Fabaceae, where the number of petals are restricted to 5. Okay, the number of petals are restricted to 5. So here on these number of petals, one is called as standard, which is comparatively bigger in size, which overlap two lateral petal called as wing petal, and these two lateral petal again overlap the posterior petal, we call it as the keel petal. Okay, so keel petal, where the keel petals are fused. Again, remember papillonaceous means 5 petal. One is called as standard or vexillum. The remaining two are called as wing. Last two are called as keel, where keels are going to fuse at the base. Okay, so when I talk about androecium, it is a group of stamens. So when I talk about gynoecium, it is a group of carpels or pistil. Then, on the basis of position of ovary, the flowers are said to be 3 types. The first one we call it as the hypogynous flower. So look at this one, hypogynous. Second one perigynous, and third one epigynous. When I say hypogynous, look at the position of ovary. So here the ovary is going to attain the topmost position where all the floral parts are going to appear at the base of the ovary. Okay, nodri ಏನದೆ ಎಲ್ಲ ಫ್ಲವರಿಂಗ್ ಪಾರ್ಟ್ಸ್ ಬೇಸ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಅದಾವೆ, ಓರಿ ಮಾತ್ರ ಟಾಪ್ ಅಲ್ಲದೆ. ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ಏನಂತಾರೆ ಹೈಪೋಗೈನಸ್, ವೇರ್ ದ ಪೊಸಿಷನ್ ಆಫ್ ಓರಿ ಈಸ್ ಸುಪೀರಿಯರ್. Then here in case of epigynous, what will happen here? Look at the position of ovary. It is completely base, that is inferior, where all the floral parts are appear on the above the ovary. Hence it is called as epigynous. And don't get confused between hypo means below, epi means above. So here we are talking about the growth of other floral parts. If it is below the ovary, hypogynous. Hypo means below, gynous means ovary. If it is above the ovary, that is called as epi, means above, gynous means ovary. Then if the thalamus forms a cup like structure where on the edges, look at these two edges where the flowers will show the other floral parts other than ovary, then it's called as perigynous. Then example for epigynous is you can take brassica, you can take the hibiscus or the China rose. When I talk about epigynous, the best example is guava, the best example is pomegranate, the cucumber, the watermelon, all their example for epigynous. When I talk about perigynous, the pulp and the rose are the best example for the perigynous flower. Okay. Next one, we will go with the estivation. So when I say estivation, so remember estivation, I think what the mode of arrangement of leaves on a stem. The mode of arrangement of leaf on a stem, we call it as, the mode of arrangement of the petals or surface in a flower bud is called as estivation. I'm very sorry. Then, so when I talk about the first one, we call it as the valvate estivation. There are again some hints here. Remember, if the petals are arranged side by side without any overlapping, petals are arranged side by side without any overlapping, we call it as valvate. Then if there is a regular overlapping, then called as twisted. So here it is irregular overlapping where two are completely in, two are completely out, and one is overlapping. Okay, so here look at that, is called as imbricate. So look at imbricate. So here one is completely external, one is completely internal. Okay, when I consider ring, one is completely in, one is completely out, and remaining three are overlapping each other. It's called as imbricate. If two are out, two are in, one is overlapping, that is called as quincuntial estivation. And last one we call it as vexillary, where I already told you in case of papillonaceous flower, one is vexillum, okay, or standard, which overlaps two wing. These two wing will overlap two keel, where two keels are fused. Okay, this is nothing but estivation. So I will stop here. I will continue with remaining aspect of the flower, that is androecium and the gynoecium, in a next video. Okay, I hope you understand this video. If you understand, please click a like, okay, and kindly subscribe and share these videos among your friends and the others which are getting some benefits regarding the NEET as well as KCET exam. So thank you so much for watching.